The Arts-Based Inquiry Initiative is revolutionizing the way we approach emotional healing, cognitive development and educational challenges in South Africa. So by harnessing the combined strengths of art education and art therapy, this innovative program is providing a safe, expressive outlet for students to process trauma, build resilience and unlock their full potential. Through putting creativity at the forefront of education, this initiative is paving the way for a brighter, more compassionate future, one that empowers young people to heal, to grow and to thrive. And now we join virtually by Paseka Blessing Chisale, lecturer in life skills at the Stellenbosch University. Paseka, very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Good to have you on the show this morning. Now, the Arts-Based Inquiry Initiative is totally revolutionizing education in South Africa. So how do you plan to sustain this momentum?
All right. Thank you so much for having us. And what we are intending to do with this program is to engage learners in arts-based inquiries and essentially provide them with spaces for creativity and also for making mistakes, if we can call it that. So it provides learners with a space where they are able to play, make use of play-based type of engagement to learn life skills and life lessons. But we're also making use of research to try and have some form of empirical backing on what it is that we have done, so that we can inform further work that we do with the research that we'll be doing. And this will hopefully also inform policy making with regards to integrating art education a little bit more into the education system.
You know, Paseka, providing a safe outlet for students to process trauma is very crucial. How then do you ensure that teachers and facilitators alike are adequately trained to support this process?
Yeah, so it's quite important for us to be mindful of the preparation of teachers. And I think when we think about creative arts teaching or art education teaching, there is quite a lack of teachers, and teachers are often not adequately prepared. And there's quite a lot of studies that also show that teachers are not adequately prepared. So what we are doing at the moment is that we are going through a training process together with the facilitators with the Butterfly Art Project, where they are guiding us through how to do facilitation, particularly for situations where learners are going through traumatic experiences. So we're just making sure that we are preparing ourselves for whatever eventuality there is. But we also have on-site a therapist and also a social worker that will also help us with dealing with certain challenges in cases where there are some triggering emotions that might be evoked from the engagement that we have with the learners.
You know, Paseka, we approach and process healing and cognitive development in different ways. I mean, with different people, and we process things differently. So how does this initiative then come at the center of ensuring that we get the necessary healing from whatever trauma that we've been faced with?
Yes, so what we are essentially doing here is that we are focusing on the holistic development of the child. So it's not focused on the product, but we're more focused on the process. So as we go through the process, we are trying to break down certain barriers relating to cognitive barriers, social barriers, and emotional barriers. But we are creating safe spaces for this to be a reality. So if I can make an example, for instance, with the cognitive barriers that we are looking at, we are trying to create spaces for improvisation, but also breaking down those limiting beliefs about ourselves, that we are not creative, that we are not able to do certain things, or self-criticism that we often do have when we are engaging in art. But art education provides us with a space where we can focus more on the process rather than the product.
Right.
And thinking about the social barriers, we are also creating spaces where there is collaborative art making. Often we find that children do not necessarily, or most children are not very comfortable with engaging in art because they are not very confident. But when we're creating spaces where it's a collaborative space, we are creating spaces for storytelling and story circles and role playing. It is such a collaborative space where everyone is able to then share over time, and it does not happen for every child at the same time, but it happens over time through the engagement of different art forms. So we're focusing on visual arts, music, dance, drama, and also the written art form.
And I see that this initiative's emphasis on creative expression is quite innovative. How then will you balance this approach with the traditional academic requirements?
All right. It's a very challenging balance, and I think as we were going through the process of developing this program with my co-facilitator, we really struggled to try and strike the balance, because we're trying very hard to move outside of the traditional classroom. So we are not trying to recreate the traditional classroom with this initiative, but we are rather trying to create a space where learners are able to take this opportunity as a breathing space. It's a space for rehearsal, a space where mistakes are allowed to be made. And it's not a space that will limit the creativity. So we are not at all saying that the traditional mode of teaching and learning is, we are not doing away with it, but we are trying to say that these arts-based inquiries create a different space for us to think about how education can be and how we can reimagine education going forward.
And the program's success relies heavily on community engagement. So what plans then are in place to ensure that the fostering of partnerships with the local organizations and stakeholders is enforced?
Yeah, so we have worked quite closely with organizations like Spiel and as I had mentioned, the Butterfly Art Project, who have really helped us in understanding how they've done projects before, because we don't want to go into a process of trying to reinvent the wheel. But we have really just tried to better understand how they went through developing programs or similar programs, because there are quite a lot of programs that are out there. But what we are trying to do differently is to try and do research or collect data from this entire process that can support the work that we do, and also make sure that there is adequate funding for art education programs as time goes on, because it is essentially one of the key main areas on how children learn. If you think about a young child, the first thing that they do is to pick up whenever they have something that can make marks. They pick up that thing and they start making marks. And that's the first way in which we learn. So we are trying by all means to make sure that it gets its rightful place within the learning space.
It suffices to mention that every program, every project needs to undergo a process of evaluation just to see the efficacy, just to see, the impactfulness on the different communities that it serves. So evaluating the program's effectiveness and efficacy is quite essential. Let's talk about some of the methods that will be used to assess its impact on students' emotional healing and cognitive development.
Yeah, so we have went through a process of ethical clearance. So we've sought ethical clearance from the University of Stellenbosch, and it's been quite a rigorous process, particularly because we are also working with minors in the research process. So we have went through that entire process, and also our facilitators are also vetted by the training program that we are doing as well. So there has been quite a rigorous process that we went through, but in as far as how we will go about collecting data and making sure that it actually serves its purpose, is that we are going to be mainly making use of art-based research methods to collect data, primarily making use of memory objects, trying to engage learners in the past, the present, and how they see themselves in the future, and making use of the artworks that they are creating and reflection journals to collect data and have a good understanding of how they've grown through the process. But at the beginning, we also have something that we refer to as a hope box that will be made use of to have a good understanding of where learners are when we start, and where they find themselves when we finish the program. We think it will give us a better understanding of how children have grown through the process, but also through observational means with our facilitators, who are also undergoing training at the moment. So we are also thinking of engaging in reflective conversations with the learners, small groups and individual discussions. So the idea here is not so much to think of it as more of a quantitative engagement in data collection, but rather having quality engagement with the learners and having a good understanding of how they've grown throughout the process. And that's quite exciting to think about, seeing how the child grows through the entire process.
All right, Paseka, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Paseka Blessing Chisale, lecturer in life skills at Stellenbosch University, talking to us about the arts-based inquiry initiative that is unlocking creativity's transformative power to sort of revolutionize emotional healing, well-being, cognitive development, and as well as education.